What is going on, investors? Hopefully you guys are doing well out there. It's time to talk about Costco Wholesale Corporation, ticker symbol COST. The company just reported their first quarter earnings, and we will get into them. We'll take a look at the revenues, the profits, everything we normally do here on the channel, and then we got to look at this stock chart. I tell you what, people ask me all the time, what is a gold medal winning stock? What does it look like? Well, pull up a chart when it looks like this. Chances are you're looking at a gold medal winner. Look at this stock. It's just absolutely soaring. And this is on a monthly chart. This goes back to the early 90s when some of you might not even have been born. This is an absolutely fantastic stock, and that is why we continue to cover it here on the channel. Today on the show, we'll also talk broadly. I guarantee you every single one of you watching this video bought this stock lower and maybe way lower, and you're wondering, can you add? When should you add? When is it good times to buy? Because look at this stock chart. It's just absolutely phenomenal performance from one of the biggest retailers here in the United States. Year to date, we're up 40%. Yeah, now this isn't a high-flying Cathie Wood tech stock. This is Costco, up 40% year to date. You do get a dividend of about $3.16 per share. Now, when the stock is absolutely rip-roaring higher, yeah, that multiple starts to expand. Price to earnings forward basis is at 43. Did I say 43? Yeah, I said 43. And take a look at this from a price to sales basis. Costco trading over 1.2 times sales. That again is on record an all-time high. So you're paying all-time multiple for Costco. Can you get a pullback? Will we get a pullback in this one? Man, those are good questions. We'll talk about that when we look at the financials as well. Now, memberships fees in the most recent quarter. When we go over these financials, I'll show you the company makes a ton of their operating profits basically by these membership fees. And those are up 9.9% year over year, up to nearly $1 billion, more specifically about $946 million. They say here e-commerce sales were up 9.8%. I don't know where they got that number. I saw 14% adjusted numbers from Costco's press releases. I think that's where the e-commerce growth rate is. Net income came in at about $1.32 billion. Last year, you were sitting at about $1.17 billion in terms of net income for Costco. Let's take a look at these revenues. We talked about how we got $50 billion worth of revenue. That's up nicely year over year. I think about 16% from $43 billion last year up to $50 billion. And this is just a great example. A lot of you are newer investors. Like I said, this chart goes back to the 90s. Some of you weren't even born. Many of you probably weren't even investing back in the 1990s. And look at this. You don't necessarily have to take risk on high-flying speculative stocks that aren't making money, stocks that aren't proven. Look at Costco, just one of the most boring business models you can possibly think of. And this stock has got to be one of the best performing stocks over the last 30 years by far. Now, we take a look at our revenue, $50 billion. Now, what we know about Costco is it's an incredibly low margin business, but that's the company's competitive advantage, because take a look at our net sales here, $49 billion. Our merchandise costs just on that, before we pay any employees or anything like that, very close to $44 billion. So they are at a razor thin margin on the products that you're buying at Costco. And again, that is the company's competitive advantage. They charge you this membership fee up here, which generated $946 million worth of membership fees. Last year was sitting at $861. As long as Costco continues to squeeze out more membership fees, and the two ways they do that, obviously, is they grow the number of members, but also occasionally pass on price increases on that membership fee side. I'm sure if you brought up a chart of Costco monthly membership fees, it probably doesn't go up this spectacularly, but it is a steady thing that consistently goes up. If you think about things like inflation and just the cost of things naturally going up, well, obviously your Costco membership goes right there with it. And so whenever Costco announces that they've raised the fees on their memberships, you should do a little happy dance as an investor, because all that money basically flows down to the operating side. Now, we've got selling, general, administrative. This is all the employees. This is all the back office. This is all the things that have to do with running Costco on a day-to-day basis. Those costs came in at $4.7 billion. So if you take this call that $44 billion, plus another 4.7, you're getting to a number really, really close to $49 billion in this net sales. But we do have a little bit left over. They do make positive margins on their goods. And then you add this 946, and here's our operating income, where we take this 50 and then we minus off these costs, and we got our operating income in the most recent quarter, $1.7 billion. We're sitting at $1.43 billion. Is this company going to double their operating income or have some ways to really accelerate this business? Absolutely not. This company doesn't have that ability. They already have locations in all the places here in North America, or practically all the places here in North America, that would generate large amounts of revenue. We see pre-opening expenses. They're still opening Costco's, but it's a much slower pace than in the past. And so we see just steady operating profits and results when we look at Costco's numbers. Now we've got some interest expense, but it's balanced off by the fact that this company has cash sitting in bank accounts, essentially, or treasury accounts, and they do earn some interest on that, so that essentially got balanced out. Or in fact, they made a little bit of money off of their balances. That gives us this income before income taxes at $1.7 billion. We pay a little bit of income tax. We come all the way down to net income, $1.3 billion. Last year, we're sitting at $1.16 billion. That's about $3 per share on that earnings side. I noticed that diluted share count basically the same, just up a little bit, probably for executive compensation and those types of things. All things being considered, just a fantastic quarter for Costco, about what you'd expect. Now, when we get down to the balance sheet, we just see absolutely fantastic cash and cash equivalents. This company just keeps stacking the cash. What are they going to do with it? Are they going to pay another special dividend? I know this company did that last year, and I would say at some point you might see an announcement on that, because this company just has steady operating results. I don't necessarily see this company doing any kind of acquisition that really changes the dynamics and the makeup of how they make money. And so this cash is just sitting here. At some point, it will need to be deployed. Maybe they buy back shares. Maybe they increase the dividend. I think they'll absolutely do that. Maybe we'll get a special dividend as well. When you look at a cash balance like this over the last several months, all things being considered, looking very good. Now, I did want to take a look at merchandise inventories. Now, it's interesting. This first quarter really just gives you back in August to November. Doesn't really tell you a whole lot. When we go from $14.2 billion in inventory up to the $16.9 billion worth of inventory, it doesn't tell you much because we're ramping up for the holidays. So what I decided to do is I brought up last year's first quarter results, which is basically November 22nd of 2020. That's when that quarter ended. You see we're ending a day prior here in 2021. I wanted to show you last year we had $14.9 billion worth of inventory heading into basically the last few weeks of holiday shopping. Now we're seeing with Costco, we actually have quite a bit more. We have 16.9 again compared to 14.9. So that should be a good thing heading into the holidays, the last couple weeks. Not that Costco is a major destination for holiday shopping. It's more of an everyday kind of stock up thing for most people that I talk to that shop at Costco, but they have the inventory in store. And that should be a little bit of a concern sometimes when we're hearing about the supply chain. We're seeing how difficult it is to get the product onto the shelves. Well, we see evidence right here that Costco is stocked up and they've got those shelves packed and stacked over at Costco. Maybe it's not all the inventory they would have wanted. Maybe it's not the right mix, but they have plenty of inventory at Costco. If they get the customers in the door, they should achieve good sales for the upcoming quarter as well. All things being considered, company's super clean. They've got a little bit of long-term debt, but we could wipe that out if we felt like it. That's it from a financial perspective. They don't show you cash flows because they don't need to. This company has absolutely phenomenal operating and net income results. And that's about all you need to know when you're looking at Costco. Now, in terms of the stock chart, guys, I mean, this is just like going up the side of the mountain. I've got it on a monthly view. We'll narrow it down a little bit to a daily view. You're just looking for pullbacks. You're looking for signs of maybe this stock beginning to consolidate just a little bit in the highs that it started to make. And quite frankly, you could argue maybe a little bit that we're making a little bit of a topping formation up here. We have a high, we have a lower high. This is in just the last couple of weeks. I've switched to a daily view here. You could see a little bit of a pullback. Maybe as the broader markets start to pull back, maybe we can get Costco down here at $520 per share. Again, I talked about it at the beginning of the show. If you're in this stock lower, now I got in this sideways consolidation. That's actually the first time I actually bought Costco shares shame on me. Look at the stock chart. I should have been in this one a long time ago. I jumped into it a little late, but I got into it about $360 per share. I actually checked before I started recording. I couldn't remember what price I paid. So I'm up huge, like literally huge, just in the last couple months on this stock. And whenever that is the case, first of all, I have to ask myself, how much allocation, how much money do I want to put into Costco? I've already got some exposure with Walmart, with Amazon, with other companies to United States retail. I don't necessarily need to go overweight that. So I would wait for a bigger pullback in Costco. We are seeing some volatility in the market that could contribute to Costco, a stock like Costco, pulling back in the shorter to intermediate term. Really, the key level to watch, I think, on this chart, if you're looking for this one to pull back, is a break below 520. That has held as just a temporary, very, very temporary level of support. If you break through that, we've got some candles here, but it's possible this stock walks itself back under that $500 level. I think south of $500 would be an area where I would be excited about getting more of Costco shares. If you have the ability to buy fractional shares in your account, Costco is something that I don't mind if you want to regularly set something up, or when it has some minor pullbacks that you put in a fractional share or whatever relation to your portfolio. I don't mind steadily investing in this company. Number one, it pays a dividend. And number two, it has a 30-year track record of just continuing to perform, even in difficult times, difficult situations, financial crises, health crises, dot-com bubbles. This stock just continues to go up and up and up. I like to add to these stocks in fractional shares just to kind of continue to grow my investment over a long period of time. If you're dealing with whole shares, you're looking for a slightly deeper pullback on this one. In my opinion, you're looking for market turmoil. You're looking for broad market sell-offs when quality stocks get thrown out to a certain degree, at least in the shorter term. You need to be very quick when it comes to companies that win gold medals like Costco, because the dips, as you see on this chart, last only a short period of time. This company is rarely in a bear market. When you get pullbacks on this one, you need to step in and buy this stock. So that wraps it up on Costco. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. We'll be back again soon with more. Good luck with your investments.